all of you guys. And thirdly, if you have any questions, you could send us an email to response. And fourthly, I will be here in University of Makati every Friday and Monday. So you could get in touch with me if you have any questions. So uh, let's rock and roll. Always remember that if you're doing qualitative, you always ask the question why and how. Okay? Why and how. It's qualitative. Okay? If quantitative, it's the what question. Okay? Always remember, okay? In doing a qualitative study, you always ask the question why and the how. Okay, let's proceed with my presentation. So you could hear me, right? Please raise your hand. Give me a thumbs up. So, great, great. We will have a research colloquium. So, given the leadership of Director Nante, we'll have a continuous research presentations to assist you guys. So we're here. We're open 24/7. No, no, it's just like Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. But you can send us an email in the Center for University Research. So you could search my name in Google Scholar and in Google to find out some of my studies and publications. And it's Nicamil Sanchez. So just type in my name and you could see some of my background. So enough of the introduction. Let's go to qualitative methodology. Can I present my presentation? Share it. Uh, okay. Wait for a while. Any questions about qualitative methodology? So raise your hand. How many are doing qualitative study here? Thumbs up? Give me a thumbs up. Wala nagta-thumbs up. Si Sir Ray. 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many participants do we have, Sir Mark? 6? So, so out of 50 participants, there's only around roughly 5% of us doing qualitative study, or roughly 10%. The question is the why and the how. Okay. In a quantitative study, there are two aspects of statistics, right? The descriptive stat and the inferential stat. So you do inferential if you have hypothesis. But if you want to dig deeper, there is qualitative study to answer the how and the why questions. So it's very important to answer the how and the why questions. That's the only way we could develop theories. Okay? And given UMAC, as I see most of the courses, it should dwell on quali. And so don't discuss about the biases. What's the best methodology? Focus on your research problem and project. We wanted you to be successful in publication or in publishing your articles. So we're here. You'll be with me until 3 o'clock p.m. or 3:30. Can you see my presentation? Okay. Great, 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 Sega. But firstly, let me give you a brief background about qualitative and how you could use it in your Nvivo software. Okay? So, it's just an introduction, so this will be a continuous discussion for all of us. So you could use the software in every aspect, in review of related literature, in data analysis, in social media analysis, in data visualization. So and Vivo software. So usually UP, Ateneo, LaSalle has it. So they have those licenses. If you see UP, okay. Second is you could use it in your social media analysis And it encompasses different disciplines like education, marketing, nursing, management, public health, even law. The LSU College of Law is currently now using Nvivo and UP College of Law. So business, you have business, you have.
Nakikita yung presentation. Hindi,
Can you see my presentation, guys? Give me a thumbs up. Can you see it? Okay. So let me know if it is moving or not. Can you see the second screen? No? No, I don't. They cannot see the second screen. Sorry. Uh-huh. Thank you. Okay. So we're just gonna do some. We'll fix it up here. So present now. Uh-huh. A window.
tapos try nyo po ulit mag presentation.
Okay. Oh, good. I think it's moving. Great. Thank you. Thank you to the center staff. It's moving, right? Okay. So basically, you could use this software in different aspects. At the end of the day, uh, we cannot we cannot stop the use of AI. We cannot stop the use of academic softwares. The challenge in doing qualitative study is how did you prevent biases? The main question in doing qualitative study is how did you prevent biases if you analyze it manually? It's very difficult, especially if you're submitting journal article for publications. Okay, they will ask you how did you prevent biases? Remember, in a qualitative study, they will look into three aspects. Unlike in a quanti, they will just you look into the Cronbach alpha, right? To check the validity and reliability. If it is 0.07, it's acceptable. But in a qualitative study, they will look into the rigor of your study, the quality and the trustworthiness of your data. So that's a challenge. And it's fun to do qualitative study. Why? Because you will develop new theories. Unlike in a quanti, you will just validate existing theories, right? So that's a different. But for me, let us not discuss what's the best methodology. We focus on the best methodology that will respond to your research problem. It doesn't mean that you are good in stat or numbers, you'll do quanti. It doesn't mean that you hate quanti or numbers, you do quali. Always go back to your research question whether this methodology is the best methodology that will respond to my research question. Always think about it in choosing the methodology. Okay? Second, so you could use this software in all of the courses here in University of Makati. Even law can use this software. Even if you have medicine or social sciences here or nursing. So as a researcher, especially for those postgraduate students, how many of you are postgraduate students who are here right now? Thumbs up? Walang nag-thumbs up? Si Sir Kaday, si Olivar, si Blanco, si Garcia. The main hurdle or challenge for us is the thesis, right? In other country, there's a distinction. If you don't have a thesis, they will call you masters by coursework, especially in Australia or in other countries. If you have a thesis, they will call you masters by research. So one way to validate that you have contributed to the literature is your thesis. And why are you doing research? It's to address the gaps of the literature and to contribute new knowledge. That's the only thing. That's the reason. I would like to contribute new knowledge to the literature, or I want to address the gaps of the literature. Only two things. Okay? So remember, as a researcher, you're in a journey. You're writing a thesis. You're writing it alone. Your name will be immortalized forever if your thesis is publishable. Always remember that. Okay? And siguro, as we all know in CHED ruling, it's publish, 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 or perish. So one way is publications. Okay? So that differentiate professors from from others if you do have those publications. And we wanted you to publish. We wanted you to, sabi nga ni Director natin, we wanted every staff of UMAC to publish, to attend international conferences. That's the only way we could significantly improve yung standing ng UMAC. Diba right now, that even UP Lasal, Ateneo, the real challenge is publications and research. Okay? In university naman, there's three aspects. Eh. Research, teaching, and extension. So what is the gap? Research. So with the leadership of Director Nante, we're pushing it. And right now is the qualitative. How to annoy a qualitative researcher? We ask for objective data. All we see here are words and pictures. Okay? How to annoy a quantitative researcher? I want to measure. Sabi nung isa. But let me tell you a story. The why and the how, which is very important to us. Sabi ng qualitative. Okay? Sabi naman ng quanti. Bakit puro picture at statements na nakikita ko dito? So there's a difference between quanti and quali. So always remember, if you're a constructivist, tinatawag kayong qualitative methodology. If you're a positivist, quantitative. Okay, always remember that. But as I said a while ago, and I will repeat it again, don't dwell on the debate whether what is the good best methodology. It depends on your research problem. If you don't have the right methodology, you cannot answer your research problem. To be honest. Okay? In a quantitative methods, only 1 in 30 take the free ice cream. So it's really number. As I mentioned, it's descriptive or inferential. For a qualitative research, you ask, what did you feel when you saw the free ice cream? You ask the why and the how, the feelings. Okay? And there's a third wave, which is the mixed method. I will discuss mixed method in a separate lecture. So, so it's a combination of quanti and quali. So you have three design according to Cresswell. So I will discuss it deeply in succeeding lectures that we will have. Just make sure you tune in with the Center for University Research. We have the convergent, exploratory sequential design. But always remember, in every research, you start with a good literature review. Okay? Literature review is very important. Why? Because you wanted to address the gaps of the literature. There are cases that our students will go and visit us to consult, and then they will not bring you any literatures that they have read. So they're just making bola. So they're just wasting your time. So make sure when they consult you, they have the literature with them and ask them what are the gaps of the literature that you wanted to address. Okay, there's no such thing as you wanted to do this research problem without any literature review. It's very important. Okay, that's one way to make an academic paper. It's just an essay if you don't have any literature review. Before Nvivo, you have do this. You're doing this highlight. What are the encircle the statements that you wanted to put in a theme and categorize it. Okay, so that's the manual thing that you're doing. Always remember, You transcribe verbatimly and then you highlight the statements that you wanted to code. That's the manual thing. It's very difficult, especially if you have any 40 to 50 interviews. In your NBIBO and qualitative journey, always remember the 5S. Okay? So you know the 5S? Let me go to the big six in qualitative analysis before we go straight to using the software in qualitative study. If you have any question, just raise your hand and let's skip it short so we could give time for others. So just raise your hand if you have any question. Okay? And then the facilitator will acknowledge you. First is the content analysis. So we're talking about the methodology here. In your chapter one, if it is an article, it's based on your literature review, right? In your chapter two, it's the methodology. You will now try to explain to the reader what method are you using. Are you using quanti? Okay. Second, you try to inform them how many respondents. How will I get my data? Am I doing an interview, KII, FGDs, okay, or a survey? So, third is you need to inform them. If I'm doing a qualitative analysis, am I doing a content analysis, a narrative analysis, a discourse analysis, thematic analysis, or am I doing a grounded theory or IPA or the interpretative phenomenological analysis? Okay? Take note. Chapter 1, coming from your literature review or articles. Chapter 2, methodology. If you're writing an article, 4 areas lang yan. Introduction, methodology, findings, conclusion. Tapos. It's different in a thesis or a dissertation for those doing. How many of you are doing PhD or master's degree here? How many masters? Raise your hand. Master's degree? Okay. Remember, if we're doing a master's, we will expect around 50 articles, 50 to 60 articles that you have reviewed about your topic. In a PhD paper, it's minimum of 100 articles about your proposed topic. Why? Because you will be an expert on your topic. So if they will ask you a question about specific areas, about a certain topic, they will ask, you're an expert on it, not us. So they're telling us, oh, for example, we're an expert on security. And then you ask them, have you done some research or have you done some publication or attended conferences? Pag tinignan mo, wala pala. Ay, hindi. Nasabi ko lang siya or nalaman ko lang siya or sinabi ko lang or may nagbigay lang or may nag-inform lang sa akin. That's a challenge between a pseudo expert and a real expert. The one way to validate your expertise is for you to do your master's paper or do your PhD and publish and present in a conferences on your own topic. That's one way to validate it. Okay? So, so remember this big six. If you have chosen now your study, according to study, for example, my research is about quality. My research about can be answered by a qualitative study. So I'll put in I'm doing a qualitative methodology. Second, I will choose the right analysis. Am I doing a content? So let's see if I'm doing a content analysis. So, sino may coffee dyan? Kuha mo na kayong coffee, cheers, cheers. Huwag kayo masyadong seryoso pa nag-research. Dapat may comment din kasi na baka magpo-procrastinate kayo. So always remember that. Always be happy doing research. Always be happy doing research. One way to avoid procrastination. Okay. First is evaluate patterns. Am I doing a content analysis? So if you're doing a content analysis, always remember that it's about words, phrases, or images across multiple sources. Words and phrases or images across multiple sources. Example, collection of newspapers or political speeches. If you wanted to analyze the SONA, that's one way of analyzing the content, the focus of the state of the nation address in this year, following this year, this year, this year. So you could make an analysis on the differences, on the focus, what are the keywords that has been used in those political speeches. Second, you identify the frequency. What are the ideas being shared, spoken? You need to have a deeper underlying interpretation. And for example, my discussion is about COVID. Summarize in categories or tabulate concepts or variables. It's just like thinking quantitative, thinking a qualitative method. Why is that, sir? In a political speeches, they will commonly mention this word. For example, during the Duterte administration, what are the words commonly used with the president? Drugs, drug war. So this you could analyze it as a focus on of the statement. So you try to count it. It's difficult to count it if you do it manually, so you need the software to count it for you. It's important for you to reread the text and focus on the specific timeline. My timeline is from 2010 to 2011, 2011 to 2012. Okay, always remember if you're doing content analysis. Next question. Am I doing a narrative analysis? Narrative analysis is listening to people's stories. Analyze their stories and how they told it. For example, victims of disasters, victims of abuse. You observe how they share their stories. Okay? The nonverbal expression. Especially if you're doing a narrative analysis, the sample sizes are very small. Why? Okay? It's very difficult to reproduce. Very difficult to gather those respondents. Kaya it's, for example, victims of Yolanda, Hayan in Tacloban, victims of disasters, victims of... So this is very important thing. It's very difficult to reproduce. So you could make mention that the sample is very small because it will be difficult to gather those respondents. Always remember in a narrative analysis not to draw broad conclusions. Okay? Be careful on your own biases. As I mentioned, we have our own biases, but we're academics. So we analyze the data that we get through our methodology or method of data collection. Okay? You need to separate your own biases in the analysis of data. That's one of the pitfall ng researcher. Okay? Focus on the mindset and perspective on the stories. The mindset and perspective of the stories. Am I doing a discourse analysis? You analyze the language in a social context. You analyze the language in the social context. For example, the conversation speeches. For example, how the manager talk about the employees, how the manager talk to the janitor, how the manager talk to fellow managers, how the manager talk to CEO. And then you need to sample the data to the point of saturation. Sinasabi dito yung saturation, wala nang other additional information that are coming from your interview. Kaya you identify that you have reached the point of saturation, that you will discontinue your interview because there's no other new information emerging from the interviews. Okay? Pwede kayong mag-argue niyan. For example, you have 30 KII at 20 KII na interviews. On the 21, same responses na rin ang kinukuha nyo and new knowledge. So basically, you could argue for that you reach a point of saturation. Always remember the importance of culture, history, and power dynamics in discourse analysis. For example, politicians speak to labor, how politicians speak to business owners. I would identify how concepts being discussed and the social influences. Understanding culture and power dynamics. What are the specific research question or questions? And analyze conversations and interactions. Okay? If we're doing a discourse analysis. Am I doing a thematic analysis? Is my research is thematic analysis can is the best qualitative study method analysis to answer my research question? If you're doing a thematic analysis, remember the patterns of meaning. You need to have a set of key informant interviews and focus group discussion. You need to have a large data and group them into similarity, or we're now doing coding in qualitative study. For example, you wanted to do a review on the Residential Center for Children. You wanted to know the perspective of students about these subjects. You wanted to know what are the perspective of the McCarthy residents about this program. Okay. In a survey, you cannot look into the perspective. You could get descriptive stat or hypothesis, but if you wanted to analyze more, dig deeper on the data, you need to ask them, ano po yung perspective niyo, 'di ba? In a survey kasi, it's either binary or it's either binary, yes, answerable by yes or no, or may scale ka. In a qualitative study, you wanted to ask, ano po yung masasabi niyo sa programa na to? Okay? So you could do large data and group them into similarity teams or codes. Observation and how they share their stories. Always remember, if you're doing thematic analysis, you're doing exploratory process. Exploratory process. Research question may develop or change, and your data needs constant review. For example, evaluation of the services in the local government units. What are the main themes or recommendations of our constituents, of the students, of our partners or businesses? Am I doing grounded theory? People will always tell you, oh, I'm doing a grounded theory. Always remember, if you're choosing this analysis, you need to argue, you need to write down, why are you choosing this analysis? Is this the best analysis or methodology to answer my research question? Okay, so mamimili ka sa big six na to. If am I doing a grounded theory? Pag sinasabi sa grounded, data speaks for itself. Always take note, there's a lot of researcher will tell you, oh, qualitative and grounded theory. But challenger, it's difficult to prove that you're doing a grounded theory. Why? Because the grounded theory, it's a new thing. Ang challenge mo, if some researchers or your your critic will tell you, oh, I see this in a Google Scholar, same study of yours. So it's difficult to prove a grounded theory. Always remember that. If you do a grounded theory, the data speaks for itself. The analysis should be ground up. And you need to have an open mind. Example, social work review about the 4Ps. Create a theory. It's one way to create a theory. Victims of abuse or cancer victims. uh, people living with dementia. So there are other new theories or studying difficulty those with disabilities or studying in University of McCarthy. There's a lot of studies that we may conduct. And then the challenge here in doing grounded theory is you need to prove that topic new or no existing research about it. Okay. Right? There should be a general overarching questions about a given population. Example, social worker working in 4Ps, analyze small sample, and theory developed from data and not preconceived ideas. So it comes from the data itself. But you need to prove that it's really a groundbreaking study. It has not been conducted or the topic is new and no existing research about the proposed topic if we're doing a grounded theory. The sixth one is the interpretative phenomenological analysis. It's IPA. You wanted to understand the personal or group experiences. What are the major life event situation? Okay? COVID-19 in a family who has member died because of COVID. So it's a major life event or experience. It's a common or clear experiences what they have experienced in those months or in those days. And subject is centered. Focus on the experiencer. Depth and meaning of experience. And focus on research aims and objective. Kaya nga in a research questions, you have open and close-ended. Kapag close-ended, it could be number statistics, or they have options whether sex or whether male or female. In an open-ended, you try to dig deep. What's the meaning of having experiencing COVID, and what are their thoughts? So you act like as you're an investigator digging deeper. Okay? And the sample size is very small. Okay, you need to have this self awareness in preventing your own biases in writing out your conclusion. If you do IPA analysis, any questions in choosing the right one? Parang pag-ibig lang siya. Kapag positive is quantitative, kung tinitignan nyo, bank account, right? Titingnan yung assets and liabilities that you could count. Sinasabi nga ng mga quantitative, if you cannot count it, it doesn't exist. Sabi naman ng mga constructivist or qualitative researcher, we have all our own definition of love. I have loved him, I love her because of, not because of her assets or her bank account. It's because everything about her. Okay? So yeah, before we choose the right one, I think we have a question to our facilitator. Someone is raising her hand. Okay.
Yes, sir, Dr. Sanchez.
Yes.
My question is on what is to be accounted for in your discussion. I saw that there's the praise their observation on how they share their stories. I wonder how is this accounted for? Does it tell about how they express their opinion, their accounts? How is it accounted in a research?
Okay. Well, my strategy here is good question, Sir Ray. Is first, if you share your stories, there's a timeline, right? So if you're doing analysis, I'll focus on the timeline. For example, this year, he suffered this one. The next year, he had a different thought about it because he survived this one. Okay? I look into the timeline. Second, in sharing their stories, I look into not only the nonverbal. Third is I look into the influences in their stories. The major events, how they surpass those major events, who contributed, and what are their perspective in those events. So that's one way of accounting the life stories, or the timeline of the story. Second, the major influences. Third is how they surpass those major event. Fourth is the person within their social environment. So that's one way I'm looking into those in writing those analysis or accounting those stories.
So I was thinking, even the facial expression, are those being recorded?
It's in a research study, you have memoing. Di ba? We teach our students, always do memo. Pag wala kang memo, parang di ka nagtanong. Madaling mahuli mga estudyante nating nag-research talaga eh. Hanapan mo ng memo. Sabihin, sir, nakalimutan ko yung memo kasi nasira yung cellphone ko, doon ko nag-memo. Second, hanapan mo ng transcript. Sir, nag-interview naman po kami, kaya lang nakalimutan namin mag-record. Kaya ang ginagawa na lang po namin is nag-write down na lang po kami ng key answers nila. Pag ganun ang sinabi sa inyo, it's full of biases. Right? Ang susulat mo lang is the one that you wanted to hear, right? Correct. We have our biases. Please don't accept it. Sayang. Sayang yung pagod nila, sayang din yung pagod mo in analyzing the data. It's really, kaya kapag sinasabit mo yung qualitative article, one of the main question is really the issues of biases and how did you reach to these findings.
Okay, sir. So what gets to your research writing is how you mean those expressions. Am I right?
It's part of it, but you need to memo it. If you see other significant expressions na tingin mo na when you're talking to doing a KII, you see yung facial expression, you see the hand, you see the face, you see the... But it's just put in the memo. It's your analysis. You memo it. So you see the environment, you see the house. If you're doing KII, it's part of your memo. Okay, but it's part of the analysis, but it's not really depend on that nonverbal expression.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Okay, but always remember, transcribe it and toto. There are cases na nagtina-transcribe nyo lang yung gusto nyo i-transcribe. You have RAs. Make your IR report. Okay? Thank you, Dr. Ray, for the question.
Thank you, Sir Ray. Dr. Sanchez, there's another question from Norita Manley. What analysis would best address to treat data collected from comments among the youth across race, nationalities, or culture during the World Youth Day?
Sir, can you repeat it? What is the best?
What analysis would best address to treat data collected from comments among the youth across race or nationalities or culture during the World Youth Day?
So your timeline is the World Youth Day. You wanted to get data from them. So it's a big number of respondents. You could do content analysis, but at the end of the day, ma'am, you need to argue and support. Why am I choosing this analysis compared to other analysis? Why am I choosing content analysis rather than narrative analysis? So every now and then, I ask my student, write one page to support your methodology. Why are you choosing this methodology in this analysis? Okay, you always go back to the research question. Did I answer your question, ma'am?
May I say something?
Yes.
Actually, when we try to look into the content analysis, we are actually called to use grounded theory sometimes to support the analysis that we have. That's why, of all the analysis, the most versatile one is the grounded theory, except when you are conducting phenomenological, right? So, therefore, in qualitative research, it is usually inductive. Okay, we use inductive method in presenting the data that had been gathered. That's why the reason for asking the question is the fact that there had been argument among the students that sometimes it would be better to make use of the narrative. But I agree with you, the first when you said it's content analysis, because that was also my contention. It should be content analysis. However, when they try to point their argument about the meaning that was drawn from the content analysis, they would actually resort to grounded theory. All right. Could you enlighten us more about the versatility of the grounded theory other than other means of interpreting the uh, initial analysis that was made?
Okay, first, ma'am, thank you for that. We always go back to our research problem.
Yeah,
Correct. Second,
that's true.
it's difficult to argue that you're doing, for me, it's difficult to argue doing grounded theory. Why?
Precisely.
If you search in the Google Scholar, you could
Mm-mm.
get a lot of study about your own proposed topic
Precisely.
if you will do. Third, uh, you could do triangulation at the end of the day. If you wanted to dig
Okay.
deeper on the data,
Mm-hmm.
you could do, oh, I'll do content and I'll, at the same time, I'll do thematic or narrative. So at the end of the day, it really depends on choosing the right methodology and analysis. Because tama po
Mm-mm.
kayo, if we will not choose the right methodology, lahat ng pinaghirapan natin, wala.
Yeah.
Kasi at the end of the day, kapag present mo yung paper mo, ito yung title mo, iba yung findings, iba yung methodology, iba yung respondents. So kaya,
That's,
that's a difficult eh. If you're
yeah.
submitting an article, kapag
Mm-mm.
binabasa talaga and you
Yeah.
wanted to publish it,
Yeah.
yes.
That's why, sir, most of the time the students would actually change. When you ask them to go back to the method that you're using, now to be safe, they change the
Correct.
from the methods of data collection. They change, ma'am. Narrative na lang.
That's what I experienced when I was
Yeah,
teaching in UP
yeah.
research.
So
Inaabot yung master's student na ng 5 years.
yeah.
PhD 9 years. I told them, look, ang master's 2 years lang yan.
Okay.
And go on with life. Ang
Yeah.
PhD, mga 6 years, 7 years, go on with life.
Okay.
If you think na inabot ka ng 4 years because of your
Uh-uh.
master's
Uh-uh.
paper, thesis, you're not doing any good. Why?
Yeah.
There's a lot of studies coming. Ang sinasabi ko sa kanila, in the first place pa lang, if you consult your research, you have your research thesis advisor, you need to agree in the mind map. What are the variables that you wanted to do? You need to be clear out with the research objectives, the research questions. And at the end of the day, you need to strengthen your methodology. Kasi pag binago mo yan, everything will be changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everything. So the challenge here is the student, the research advisor, and the critic, for me, must sit together and must finalize. Ito ba yung mind map? Ito ba yung mind map natin? Ito ba yung concept map natin? Tama na ba? Ito ba yung research questions? And let's finalize the methodology before tayo mag-conduct ng data gathering. Ang challenge here, nag-data gather na, saka palang isusulat yung methodology, data
Precisely.
analysis. So that's, nasayang eh. We're wasting both our time and the time of our students and resources.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Doc. Do we still have questions? Sir Mark?
So far, wala na. Go on, sir.
Can I continue, Sir Mark?
Yes po.
Thank you. How to choose the right one? Just choosing the best methodology. Just look into the research aims, objectives, and questions. For example, if I'm choosing narrative analysis, it's a use of words. What are the intention of participants and the cultural context? If I'm choosing interpretative analysis, IPA, what are the unique personal experience
Yeah.
that I wanted to study? If I choosing discourse analysis, what are the insights based on cultures and a social cultural context? And whether I'm choosing a grounded theory, what are the new knowledge that I would possibly develop? Or you go on triangulation, okay? There are cases nagkakamali. Triangulate, sinasabi mag-triangulate tayo, magko-quantitative tayo, magko-quali. No, mixed method yon. Always be clear Second, take note. May magsasabi sa inyo, sir, ang method namin ay ay kailangan ang method of data collection, KII, focus group, survey. Okay? Method of data collection. I'll discuss it further in the next topic that we will have. On triangulation, each method have its own strength and weaknesses. Always remember that. It's just adopting more than one method in the Big Six. I'm doing a narrative, I'm doing a thematic. What are your clear intention and review objectives that you wanted to triangulate? There are cases students or will tell you, I wanted to do triangulation. Ano yung gusto mong i-triangulate and why are you doing it? Is there a need for doing a triangulation? Or a mere thematic or content analysis could respond to your research question? And always remember to select the best method. For example, how many of you have used the software in doing qualitative study? Third, the challenge is in our research, we always have scope and limitation. Okay, fourth, always choose the best methodology and analysis. So in qualitative, choose the big one of the big six that will respond to your question. Fifth, I think if you're doing quali, you answer the question, the how and the why and the what. If you're doing quanti, you look into this descriptive or inferential, you test out hypothesis, whether there's a significant difference or not. But you cannot answer the question why there is a significant or how you need a qualitative study. Important thing is scope and limitation for our students. We're not here to win the Nobel Peace Prize award. We just wanted to address the gaps of the literature and contribute knowledge in our study and have it published and presented at a conference. That's our vision. Publish and present it at a conference at the end of the day. And then it's 2:30. I still have time to our sir facilitator from Mark. I'll proceed to Nvivo, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. How many of you have used the software Nvivo? There's a lot of softwares. You have SPSS for qualitative. You wanted to test off hypothesis. For inferential, you have Nvivo for RL and qualitative and mixed method analysis. Okay. So Nvivo, always remember, Nvivo can you could use Nvivo for your qualitative RL and social media analysis. But I think we will have a more in-depth study and using the software in the succeeding research colloquium that we will be having. So it's a software, it's a tool that you could use, especially in teaching, in reviewing articles, in helping you out in your presentation. Okay? Always remember, diba, we keep on updating our curriculum. It's one way to update it is to get new articles about our topic. It's one way of putting it in a library, putting it in the software. So Nvivo is a tool that will help you out all in this RL and this content analysis, thematic analysis, and coding. So at the end of the day, we need to use those academic tools because one way or another, if you're submitting an article, they will tell you if you have written qualitative in your methodology, they will ask you what are the software that you use. Okay, yung usually, mga reviewer, pag sinabi, I've used Nvivo in the analysis of data, wala na siyang questions on the qualitative, on the quantitative. So, the challenge here, if you analyze the data manually, they will ask you how did you reach out to those teams or codes in Nvivo. Okay? So, let me show to you one of the example of the analysis that I've got. So, the share screen. Can you see my screen? UP Ateneo and LaSalle is using the software, and I think you have one perpetual license here in the center, so you could make use of it. Make use of the softwares, make use of those technologies. The one way or another, we cannot live without our cell phone technology, so it's very important. So it is in vivo. So in every project, so this is my project in vivo. So in every research studies that I have different aspects, different projects. So for example, I'll open a home economics project or for example, I wanted to analyze the SONA speeches. I'm doing a content analysis being SONA, analyzing political speeches. So you just create your own NBBO and analyze it. Any questions about qualitative? We'll go dig deeper in qualitative. Just let me know, given the scope and limitation. Uh, wala naman po mas boring, sir. Ano lang yan, kaya kayo naboboard, napoprocrastinate na kayo. So always remember, walang mas boring, wala akong mas boring na analysis. Okay? There's no boring in doing it. Walang hindi ka na maboard. There's always be happy in doing research. I know the difficulties. I've gone through that. But at the end of the day, one way of one way of dealing with our procrastination, go out. We have a nice gym upstairs, so go to the gym, try the treadmill, and then go back in writing your paper again. So always take care of your physical and mental health, okay, while writing your paper. So I'm sure what I'm showing to you is the Nvivo software. My mission for this 30 minutes to analyze the SONA of the president, previous president. Okay. Questions while I'm analyzing, getting the documents. I could entertain questions to make use of our time. Wala na pong questions? Di lang ha. How many of you have done qualitative study na ba? Or doing qualitative study? How many are doing qualitative study? Thumbs up. Matutulungan ko kayo or magtutulungan tayo si Sir Daxa. For example, Sir Daxa, what's the title of your research? Daxa, what's the title of your research? What's the title?
Hi po.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon po. My previous study is about the errors of students in solving word problems using a theory and solo taxonomy. And this recent one po ay yung qualitative assessment of the challenges and experience of students in online modality.
Okay, challenges of student, online modalities. Always remember, if you're doing research, there are keywords. You write down the keywords of my study, of your study. You write down the mind map. And always remember, in your title, not more than 12 words. I would advise not more than 12 words to make it clear. If you're looking at the challenges, you could ask questions whether in an area of access to the internet, access to equipment, uh, concerns about mental health issues, concerns about dealing with their professors and teachers. So you could identify those teams, and then you could look into those teams and develop questions that will respond to your to your questions or to your research problem. Okay. Questions? Sino pa nag mixed method sa inyo? Sorry, nag-qualitative. Mixed methodologies kasi ako eh. Tsaka qualitative, tsaka purely some quantity. Sino pang nag mixed method sa inyo? Anyone? Rather kay Sir Dax? So lahat kayo quantitative? Positivist? Naniniwala na ang pag-ibig ay nasusukat? Naniniwala na napaka-importante ng laman ng bank account na pwede nating masukat sa statement assets and liabilities? Tama ba?
May I say something, Doc?
Yes, Sir Ray. Sir Ray, go.
Uh, the reason perhaps there are few who would admit that it's a qualitative research, it's because in the university, uh, we do not have, I don't know right now, but, as far as my experience in the graduate school of UMA, it's not allowed if it's purely qualitative. It's not an acceptable paper if it's purely qualitative. So most of us are doing quanti or mixed method. I'm not even sure about mixed method if it's really uh, if it meets the standard of a mixed method. So that's why I think that's the reason why very few no one is admitting they are doing qualitative.
But Dr. Ray, would you agree that a mixed method study is a good study and it could produce a good paper for a master's or for a PhD degree, right?
Yes, I agree with you.
So it doesn't mean that we need to limit the choices in terms of looking at the methodology that we will be doing. But for me, limiting it, it will not do us good Because at the end of the day, we need to choose the methodology that will best respond to our research questions, right?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So, to be honest, this is the first university that I've known that will not accept qualitative study. I think for me, as an academic like you, we need to change those outlooks, and we just need to identify the best methodology to respond to our research questions. Okay, the center will very much willing to assist you for that, together with the leadership of Director Nante. Okay, so can we continue? Any more questions, Dr. Ray? Naniniwala kasi ako na ang pag-ibig ay nasusukat at may kanya-kanya tayong definition ng pag-ibig.
Mm.
Kasi dati, binigay ko lahat, pati bank account ko eh. Iniwanan ako eh. Yung isa naman, minahal ko siya ng may sarili akong definition ng pagmamahal at ng pag-ibig. Iniwanan din ako. Kaya pala may third wave. It's either you look into the bank account statement. At the same time, you have your own analysis, the how and the why questions. Kaya nag-mix method ako. Joke lang. Hindi. What I mean is, at the end of the day, we just need to argue and support the best methodology for our research problem. Okay? And the center is very much willing to help you out in this one. Kasi at the end of the day, we wanted all of you to choose the best, the right methodology. Okay. Any more questions before I shift into Nvivo and just... Nvivo is a tool. You could use it for a mixed method, for a purely quali, for your literature review, for social media analysis, and for your library and for the analysis of your data. Any questions before I proceed? So, okay. So, how many of you are doing quantitative study? So, almost all doing quanti, right? Almost all. The challenge with quanti, you will just validate theories. Why? You will get scales from other countries, ask for their permission, and look into whether you have the same findings. But you cannot answer the question, the how and the why, in a purely quantitative study. So there is limitation. In every studies, there is limitation. And I'm telling you, in a purely quantitative study, you need to adopt scales. And you need to ask permission in adopting those scales. There are cases kasi you just adopt scales without asking the permission of the author. It's wrong. And there are cases that you'll just develop a scale without a qualitative study. So it's supposed to be a mixed method study. Questions before... Si Ma'am Narita, what's your study?
Actually, I am into qualitative. I think partially I would agree on the comment given by Dr. Medinilla Ray, because there are people who have not actually been sold to the idea of the use of purely qualitative, because their orientation is always had always been quantitative. Just like before, there was always, the war between qualitative and the quantitative people. So uh,
Opo.
it had started that way. And then it's very hard for those. It's like uphill battle among the qualitative researcher. All right. It's because they may not have been familiar with the different ways by which they could validate the study. The
Yeah,
issue
yeah.
of trustworthiness. That's actually the idea. So I think that's why the use of qualitative aspect of the study is only utilized to supplement the findings in the quantitative. That is actually the orientation. All right.
Okay,
We
good.
are not trying to judge people who are not sold to the idea of qualitative. But I believe that little by little, it will try to seep into their consciousness that the trend right now, and among the journal or the publication, those who are actually accepting researches for publication, they believe that those qualitative research are actually original, right?
Agree.
That's why most of the quantitative researches that have been submitted for approval, for acceptance, is sometimes turned down because there is a proliferation of plagiarism among the idea that are represented in a quantitative. And that was what I gained from why a lot of our students who submitted their paper were actually rejected. So when lot of students submitted research that are usually qualitative, outright is what it was accepted.
Right.
So the idea is there's not much violation on the originality of the paper presented.
Okay. Agree, Dr. Narita Mandy. Mandy, ma'am, are you from Sydney? There's a nice beach, beautiful beach called Manly in Sydney. I usually
I,
go there. Sometimes
I'm from I'm
it's a
from the
nude beach, huh?
Philippines. I am
Okay.
I am a native of
Okay.
UMAC.
I thought Manly is from Sydney,
It's
from
the
West
family name
End.
only, sir.
Okay. So thanks, Dr. Narit. Agree. When I was in UP teaching, there's a war between constructivists and positivists.
Okay.
And it will take time for them to debate. Parang they're debating anong nauna, itlog or manok. Tama.
Okay.
We cannot win this war.
Yes, sir.
I told them, look, if you keep on debating kung manok or itlog or constructivist or positivist, nothing will happen to you. Why? Because we will expect, or the university will expect publication from you. The university will expect research output for you. They will not expect from you your debate or your argument whether quanti or quali is the best methodology. Am I correct? Right.
Yeah.
But we're just wasting our time, to be honest. Let's move forward and let's focus on what is the best methodology to respond to our research project or research question, research problem. That is the main focus of our debate. Not what's the best, not what is method, what is quality. So if we will not move on with the war between positivists and constructivists, we cannot produce any research. It's or publication. Okay? So I would suggest, it's my humble suggestion. So I see you all as my mentors and expert in the field. That's my humble suggestion. Focus on the research problem. Focus on choosing the right methodology to respond to our research problem and write those research paper and research articles. Okay? And publish it. Publish, and go abroad. Present it in international conference. Strategico, go to look for international conference before submitting it into local. Okay? And you could get funding yata from the University of Makati. Always remember that. Okay? Sige. Thanks, Dr. Manley, for that question. Any more questions that we need to raise? So we have until 3 o'clock. For the benefit of time, if it will not, we could have another session, a follow-up session for another hour or an hour and a half. Any more questions about qualitative methodology, quantitative, and doing research? So, before I proceed, any more questions? Kasi sabi si Dr. Manly eh.
Now, sir,
Bago,
can we have now the Nvivo, because I have another question after presenting it.
okay. Uh, Sige, it's just in my next computer. Can we have a 5 minute break? I'll just, okay lang. I just go to the CR and grab some water and grab some coffee. If that's okay. Time out for 5 minute break. We've been
Tahimik
discuss.
ka doon,
Okay lang.
ginagawa.
Time out muna ako.
So, 10-minute bio break po, guys. Just be back po after 10 minutes. See you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Vincent. I will be taking over from Sir Mark. We'll begin again. Let's give the floor to Sir Nicamil. Sir?
Great. Thanks, Peter. Uh, my focus right now is doing the doing the Nvivo analysis using using some of the documents that I have here. So first is, can you see my screen? There's no screen.
Not yet, sir. We can't see yours.
Okay. Hang on, just wait for a while. Na-log out lang ako. Ah, and then, can I present now?
Yes, please.
This is a sample NDBO project that I'll have that using. First is I put in all the articles and I will review all the articles. This is some for articles that I have. I'm using NDBO for Mac, but also have NDBO for Windows. So these are the sample articles that I have, and I'll do a review of the articles. So it's around 5 articles. Speech language pathology. So UST College of Nursing and UP College of Nursing is using it UST. So I have imported all the literatures. So step one, if you go to Google Scholar, you download articles that you wanted to include in your literature review. It will help you a lot in in your literature review, in assisting your students. What are the themes or the emerging from the literature? Okay? And I will analyze it. I wanted to do um word cloud. So how to do a word cloud is this one. Explore. Sorry, query. Word frequency. I wanted to analyze all of the articles, views, and select. And I'll do the run query. So the software will have identified the keywords, okay, and These are the keywords from the articles. So if you see majority mention the speech, language, if you see the count, it quantify qualitative data and you do the data visualization. So what you see is what you observe in the word cloud. Any suggestions? Any comments? What do you observe in the word cloud? Any answer? That is the main theme emerging from the articles or from the journal articles. So that will be the start in the analysis of your paper or your data. If you're doing chapter 1 based on secondary data, you analyze it. Oh, my topic is about speech language. So speech language is connected to pathology, to assessment, communication, clinical, practice, competency. So in this sense, these are the keywords from your literature review. If you're making an exam, UP is using it, UP medicine, so everything. Uh, you look into the keywords, correct? So these are the keywords from the articles that we got. And if you wanted to know anong ibig sabihin ng pathology, just double click the word pathology and it will provide you with articles that mention the word pathology. So it was commonly mentioned in this article, systematic program of research regarding assessed speech language. These are the references. These are the statements or the references. Come on. So, well, A, then highlight everything and then right click and then code selection. I wanted to see the whole paragraph about speech pathology. Highlight nyo lang and then spread coding to broad so you could see the paragraph and then you could see the word tree about speech pathology or pathology. Okay. So you'll see the connection here. So you have the word tree here, the references, and the summary of his speech pathology. So we're just giving you one way, one example of analyzing your your data using the software. So just one of the basic example, doing a word cloud. Step one, I have imported all the literatures, the articles about my topic, speech language pathology. Step two, I wanted to analyze everything. I wanted to know the word frequency, commonly used words in all of the articles. I'll check everything, select, and then I'll run query. So this is the result. This is the result is the word cloud. Okay. Any questions about Nvivo? I think it's just one part of the software doing the word cloud. And if you wanted to analyze more, what's the meaning of competency, just double click the software. And you could see the competency based assessment. So the before and after statement. You use it in your literature review, in your mind map. You also use it in the finding section, especially if it is qualitative statements now or you have the narrative na of your study. Okay, any questions? I think we'll have an in-depth NVivo NVivo training after this. questions before we. Hello. Any questions?
Good afternoon, sir. Hello, sir.
Uh,
Sir.
yes. Yes. Good afternoon, please.
Okay, I think they are not asking question because they are not aware of the meaning of this which had been presented. This is something new to most, to
Mm.
all of us. So therefore, could you kindly explain why some words are big letters or why it's small? And then what we are actually after. They want to see how Nvivo would work on the data analysis,
Okay. Good.
especially on the thematic analysis.
Okay. Good
Excuse
question.
me, Dr. Mandy, I have a question. Actually, I raised my hand.
Yeah.
Dr. Sanchez, uh, my question is, are is this process of analyzing those keywords from these different articles helpful in determining your own interest for qualitative research,
Yes.
which topic or which concepts you would like to explore? I that's what I think. The value of this kind of analysis
Yes.
wherein you make use of those articles related to your topic of interest.
Yes, Dr. Ray. Agree. So, as we, diba, the challenge here is you as the research advisor, you have a lot of research students, correct? How will you are not an expert on the topic that they're presenting, right? It's difficult to read every articles that. So what you do is before before the students will consult you about their research proposal, ask them to download 20 articles specific about their proposal. Where in this topic, it's about speech language pathology. So ask them to download around 20 articles about speech language pathology. Okay? And after that, in PDF, you put it in NVivo or ask them to do a literature review. What are the keywords emerging from the articles that you have downloaded? Then napapasok yung review of related literature. And then the one thing that they will do is those 20 articles, you put it in NVivo. Nasaan na si NVivo? This one. I'm just gonna present. You are presenting. I wanted to see every one of you. I'm here in it's my first. I'm here in University of Makati. So next time, let's have it. Let's have it in person.
Welcome to UMAC, by the way, Dr. Sanchez.
Thank you. Ano na, nagsasawa na ako sa I've been doing this in person trainings for more than 2 years already. Dali lang. Let me show it to you. Dalawa na ho yung computer na hawak ko eh. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Not yet, no? Can you see my screen? Not yet. Okay. There is an error daw. Uh-huh. Next time let's have it in person. I wanted to see faces. I wanted to see interact with you. Can you see my screen? Hopefully you can see it. Right? Can you see my screen? Guys, amazing. Thumbs up. Good. So for example, this one, this is the Nvivo. So I will import, for example, I wanted to review articles. I wanted to review articles about education. How many are from the College of Education? Please raise your hand. College of, ano mga colleges na yun? Dr. Ray, anong college ka?
I'm sorry, Doc. It's pleasing to my ear to be called the doctor, but I'm
Ay,
not yet a doctor.
Ray, Professor Ray, anong college ka, sir?
I'm my affiliation is College of Arts and Letters, but right now I am occupying an admin position as director of the Center for Curriculum and Materials Development.
Yeah, you could use this one. Diba? One way to develop or enhance curriculum is to include new studies about the topic that you're presenting, correct?
Yes, sir.
You could download all the articles and put it in Vivo, and our academics could help us and could analyze it. So, for example, I have study about nursing. Who are from the College of Nursing? Walang College of Nursing dito sa Ray? Sayang.
I
Yeah.
think meron din yata.
UP College of Nursing is using this. Who else? Cebu Normal University. And they're also using this for review for UST. So it's big data analytics. So for example, I have nursing article here for the College of Nursing. Please recognize yourself. What have I say? For example, I have downloaded some articles about nursing, importance of nursing research, all about nursing research. That's one I will tell, sinong professor natin dito, sir? I will tell the professor from nursing, ma'am, sir, I wanted to do a study about the importance of nursing research. So step one, you go to Google Scholar or e-library of the university, search in, search publications about that mention nursing research, right? That's the first start. I wanted to research. And then, mom, I have my articles with me. So I have 5 articles here about nursing research. Okay? And then, what will I do next? Siyempre, yung mga student, babasahin nila. What are the research gaps of the articles that you have searched in? Okay, tatanong ka na because I wanted to address the gaps of the literature. It's one of my main missions. So the students will read the articles about nursing research. Okay? Use the professor. If you have Nvivo, ask them the copy of the PDF. And then after that, import it in Nvivo. Okay? Or if, second, you could use this one in developing questions exams. Third, you could use this one in improving your curriculum because you add more articles about the topic that you're teaching, right? That's one way to improve the curriculum, or that's knowledge or the subject in the curriculum. And then the third step, I will now analyze the articles that I've got. Step one, the import ko na. Step two, explore. I wanted to do the word frequency. Yung question kanina. Step 5, I wanted to search, analyze all the articles about nursing that I have downloaded. Step 6, okay. Step 7, I run the query. In just less than 5 seconds or 3 seconds, I have the results already. In the analysis of my articles, majority mention nursing, research, team, practice, teams, knowledge, qualitative, base, evidence, paradigms. So as I will interpret it, these are the keywords emerging from the articles that I've got. Remember, in writing your confidence paper, in writing an article, they will ask you about the keywords of your study. Maybe the keywords of my study, and this is the word cloud. The explanation of the word cloud is the bigger the font, it was commonly mentioned in the reference that we have. So if you're doing your article review or analysis of your interviews, ito yung mga emerging themes from the literature. Kaya siya malalaki. Okay? And then there is some way that do the cluster analysis. So it cluster, it group together. So these are the analysis of the literature. Okay? So always remember, the bigger the font, it was commonly mentioned in the article. So tama, it's nursing research. I wanted to explore the meaning of nursing research in terms of practice or qualitative. I just click in the word quali and double click the word quali, and it will run down all the qualitative study that were mentioned. Okay, so there are two statements or articles that mention qualitative. It was mentioned commonly mentioned here, and these are the references. And you could start now writing qualitative. Because like making your introduction, my main topic is nursing research. For example, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 1, nursing research, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. It's just like organizing already your chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. For example, yung qualitative nursing research, I'll put in as part of my literature review. I put it as 2.1, qualitative nursing research. Nakuha niyo yung puntos ko? Ito na yung mga references nyo about this subsection. Kaya it will be easy for you to write your paper, especially for your student. It will give them with the outline. At the same time, not only with the outline, yung possible articles that they could put into this outline. So it will guide. The challenge here is if you will not guide them, kayo rin mahirapan ba? Why? There's a few, you could see a lot of duplication, redundancy, plagiarism, because it's really difficult to write. I've been studied my PhD as well. It took me 5 years. Doesn't mean that I'm a good writer. No, it's really difficult to write an academic paper. So this software will guide you in writing this academic paper as also your student. Okay, it's 3:17 in my time. We have 10 minutes for question and answers or for 10 minutes. So no worries, I'll be seeing you guys. It's just like my first online lecture to UMAC. So we'll have more of this, and we'll have more research, we'll have more publications with the leadership of Director Nante of the center. And I'll be here Friday. So if you need anything, just visit us or send us an email. Or I'll be online and on Monday. Any questions? So we'll open the floor. Let's have a more in-depth discussion about the Nvivo software. Okay? If that's okay with you, or I could continue until 10 o'clock p.m. if you're free. Okay, I think let's open the floor for any comments and suggestions to our facilitator. So I leave it with our word cloud. The word cloud identifies already what are the themes emerging from the articles and what are the findings. If it is from primary data, pag interview transcription, yan yung findings nyo na. Okay? And then we're just gonna organize it. Questions? I'll stop sharing na.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
Any questions po from our participants?
Yes. Vincent, I have a question.
Sige po, Sir Ray.
Do we have the Nvivo already? Is
Yes, sir. We already have the software available here in the research center. I'll give the floor to Sir Rante for this. Sir.
No, no, it's okay, Vincent. You're right. We already have the Nvivo survey, and we can actually use it right away. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, because I appreciate the affordances and of in vivo, and it's really very helpful. Now we could make more comprehensive advising if ever no there are those. Sometimes I encounter people no reaching out to me asking whether they have viable topics. So I think this is one of the best use of en vivo. No? Right from the start, you would be sure about what you're going to work on in your research. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ray, for that input also and for the question. Sir Junlor Daxa has a question. He wrote in our chat room, how can we access the in vivo? We have already a policy on this, Sir Daxa. You just have to ask, you just have to send us a letter of request for us to process the document or the paper, or yeah, the paper of your students if ever, or anybody from UMA. Unfortunately, we only have access for the research center as of now. Yeah, thank you, Sir Daxa, for that question. Other questions po?
Okay, another question,
Hi, Sir Ray.
Vincent. Um, in one of the demos of NVivo in other webinars I accessed in the past, uh, you you use those transcripts, I think, also to be run in NVivo to come up with thematic analysis. So, do you have already some sort of a guideline as to how to submit those data? Let's say, do you have a template that we have to use? Do you have a format that we have to to in vivo?
As I've said, Sir kanina, we follow also the request process for the processing of quantitative data for SPSS. So basically, anyone from UMAC, student admin or faculty would send us an email request uh, uh, to process their data. We would appreciate, for example, if it's a qualitative research, we would appreciate if the student or any researchers would give us already the transcript of their interview, for example, or the what do you call this? The field observation notes, yung sinabi kanina ni Sir Nicamil, very important po kasi talaga sa qualitative research yung ano, mag-memo ka, yung isusulat mo lahat ng na-observe mo, even in interviews. So, we would appreciate that if you will be attaching already those things, transcript more specifically of the interviews, observations and such. And of course, the we only require for now. We are still brainstorming here. The team is actually brainstorming on how we are going to implement a Google form also. Because right now we are moving towards Google Forms kasi mas madaling i-track yung mga requests for such services. Kaysa yung sa email, ang hirap po kasi mag-data mine pag-email. So if ever po we come up with a Google form for such requests, we'll email you po. We'll do an email blast agad. But for now, gaya po ng sa SPSS, sa Turnitin, you just have to send us an email of request, email request for in vivo. I think for students, they have to pay a fee. Tama ba, Carl? Carl? Undergraduate students, 200 pesos. Yeah, 200 pesos yung kanilang babayaran. For the faculty and staff, wala no? What? For thesis, 1.5. Okay. Basta po yun, may fee po yun. We'll announce that one soon. Pero yun po, you just have to email us the request with the pertinent documents, the transcript, if it's for Invivo, for SPSS naman po, we appreciate if you give us already the worksheet, Excel file or Google Sheet of the responses of the respondents in the survey. Yun po.
May I make a suggestion to
Yes,
Dr.
sir. Go
Sanchez
ahead po.
for the next run of the web this seminar? Um, could we have sort of a good example on how we, I know, what kind of documents or how's the format of the document that are being run to in vivo or a specific research, for example, using thematic analysis. So could we see that in the next seminar you will conduct so that we will be guided as to exact right now we saw that articles exactly as it is can be run to in vivo. What about those others like memos and transcripts? I'm interested in the format because it could vary depending on how it was encoded by the researchers.
That is well noted,
Yeah.
Sir Ray. Yes,
Yes.
Sir Rante.
Yeah, that is why I pointed out in the chat. This is just the beginning of a series of talks. So I would suggest that we religiously attend the series of trainings on the use of Nvivo. And then eventually, we will definitely inform you about all the templates, the Google form, and all these things. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sir Rante.
Thank you.
We still have 4 minutes to 3:30. Any others who would like to ask questions?
So, if there's no more questions, I just want to tell you that the next training would be on April 17. April 17, and hopefully meron din po by May. So we're actually finalizing it. We'll inform you and update you with the link if it's gonna be held via Zoom or Gmeet or if it's via face to face or hybrid. And that's all for today. Thank you to all of you who participated in this training, and thank you to Dr. Nicamil Sanchez. Yeah, documentation, meron po. So, this is recorded naman po. So, but before, if you can turn on your camera po. Yan. Kahit mga 10 seconds lang po para ma-capture sa recording po natin. And then later, there.
Okay lang po. Mag-ano lang po si Carl. Okay
Yeah,
na po.
smile po. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next. Smile. Next, Sir Carl. All good daw po as per the Carl. Thank you guys and happy weekend. See you next training or workshop, whatever.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Salamat
you.
po.
See
Thank
you
you.
again.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Sir
Sanchez.
Nick.
Thank you everyone. See you again. See you here in UMAC.